How would your players react if they're traveling and they come across a carriage that's been attacked? As they approach, they see bodies riddled with crudely made arrows. They see crates, luggage, and other goods that have been stacked in a hastily made barricade by survivors. And this handful of injured guards, merchants, and nobles lets you know that there have been goblins around that have been attacking them. Talking with the injured guard, he might let you know of a family sword that he lost in the battle and the goblins ran off with it, offering your players a small reward if they're able to recover his family heirloom. The merchant may have lost some goods in the raid and might be looking for adventurers to help recover something special. I also include an herbalist merchant here, someone who's able to sell my group some useful herbs or potions. And this NPC is going to be looking for a special herb, one that normally can be found in dark, damp places like Goblin Lairs. Letting our group know that if they are to go into the lair and find this special plant, that they'll be rewarded upon bringing some back for them. While your players are here talking to these NPCs on this map, this could be a great opportunity to have some goblins do another sneak attack on the caravan that they know they have pinned down. And again, if you like the idea of this encounter, your players traveling and coming across this attacked caravan, check the comments and you can find a link to this map where your characters can be entering in from the bottom left and come across the caravan as they travel upward. The link will also include a token for an injured guard, a nervous nobleman, and even that traveling herb merchant I mentioned. Each NPC has its own top-down token with original matching artwork because I hate introducing NPCs and having to use different artwork for them. It's nice to be able to introduce an NPC and have a specific token that goes with them that you don't have to use for anyone else. If you have stronger players and you want to drain more of their resources, you might want to add a goblin battle around the caravan itself. Utilize the map. And remember, 9 times out of 10 goblins are not going to want to get close, not unless they have a ridiculous advantage. Most of the time they're going to want to take a shot with their bow from afar and bonus action hide after and move around. And they're not afraid to just run and leave the fight altogether if it looks like too many of them are dying and head back to the lair. Feel free to run them however you want. I just imagine them more as cowardly, but they're not stupid. They can realize who has less armor, who looks like they're closer to dropping. Maybe they want to focus fire one person. If I'm running goblins here and they're fighting my players around the caravan outside of their lair right now, and they run into adventurers casting magic, it's not going to take a lot for them to fall back and retreat. And this might be an easy way for your players to find where their lair is. Or it might just take some survival checks, maybe an investigation check, looking for tracks and whatnot, whatever DM sees fit. But once they find the lair itself, this is one of my favorite parts of the entire quest line. If you like this and you want to use it, check the comments below. I posted a link to the free Patreon where you can use it. But this is where I make note of which of my players have dark vision and which ones don't. Because as they're entering into this cavern system, there are a couple of different entrances on the map, but they all essentially lead to the same area. Definitely, as they're finding these entrances and making their way in, I try to remember a couple of things. Who has dark vision? Who's lighting some kind of light source? And more importantly, as they're heading into these caverns, they're seeing a growing population of rats. Just a couple at first, but as they're going deeper in, thicker piles and swarms of rats. And while they're not aggressive, something that I'm doing that I think is fun for my players is if they have food on them that is not in an extra dimensional space, the rats are starting to swarm them. I like this because it helps me foreshadow that swarms of rats are going to be something that they're going to be fighting in this cave system, that the rats are something that the goblins have trained, and also because it's going to be fun to have them throw away their rations, their food. If it's not in an extra dimensional space, then the rats will be able to smell it and they're going to start swarming. So they can throw it away to avoid initiative. And if they do, I'm just going to make sure that when they're traveling later, that food is going to be something that they're going to have to prioritize. I feel like food and not having it is something that is so easily looked over. I'm going to try to make it so that it's going to be a little bit of a harder trip back to town after this. If they don't find food, I'm not going to let them take a long rest. I'm going to say that you just weren't comfortable enough to take a long rest because you were on an empty stomach. But again, the consequences of that would be after this entire encounter, after this quest line. But still something as DM I would take note of and be looking forward to. As they're traveling into this cave system, I like to make sure that larger races, or at least people that paint their character as being larger, feel like they're almost too large to travel through some of these caverns. I want people that paint their characters as bigger to be making dex saves or dex checks, really just to see if they're getting stuck or not, slowing down travel. Mechanically, I'm not thinking of anything big happening here. Let me know if you would impose something here. I'm thinking more if they fail, I'm going to narrate them being there stuck, maybe rats crawling over them, because there's still going to be rats everywhere in here. Even if they're not swarming them for their food, it's still going to be just wading through rats while they're stuck in awkward positions with rats crawling over them. This is when I start to narrate the air getting not just heavier, but just dank, just nasty from all the rats and feces that's on the ground. If you have characters that are more clean, characters that like to paint themselves as noblemen, this is when you can really dig in and twist that RP knife of them crawling through muck in this nasty place. Eventually, after traveling through this underground system, the players will come to this map, entering in from the bottom right. This is a map where a DM can have a lot of fun flanking people and having the party spring ambushes. I normally use Roll20, and I'm able to hide most of the map and show my players just what I want them to see. And I make sure to hide all the small flanking entrances. Everything on this map is marked when you check the comment section for that link. It comes with a full breakdown of traps and ambush areas the goblins would use, tips, tricks, fighting styles for the DM to use for the goblins and their mounts. And really, for a new DM that wants to put some players through a challenge, this is the kind of content that we're going to be focusing on making sure that we drop monthly, along with other things like homebrew classes, homebrew rules and concepts, more lore to put into the world. But all of that scattered and based around monthly content. The Goblin Lair was one. We have a poll going right now, and it looks like an arcane college is going to be the next setting that we explore. So let me know if there's anything that you would add to these quest lines, these side quests, these monthly releases, something that you would have liked to see in the Goblin Lair so that we can incorporate things like that in the Arcane College that's coming up and other settings that we'll be doing in the future. Check the comment section for the link for the Goblin quest line and support the link in the bio for future content.